Alright students, this is step 3 in our Hello World program. In our last video lesson we talked about adding include statements and namespace statements, as you can see here. I want to remind you here that it's really important that whenever you come across terms that you're not familiar with, that you come back to Moodle and take a look at the glossary that I provided at the top of the course. I encourage you to look at that the first week of the course. For example, right here at the top of the glossary we see our very first input, our very first term that's defined is the include statement. And it tells us here that the include command tells the computer to include a library or a form. Your computer will understand some commands automatically, but if you want to use a command that is in a library, you need to tell the computer to include the library first. And so that gives you a good explanation of what an include statement is. So as we see here, we are using a library called the IOStream library that has certain commands in it that our computer doesn't know how to use those commands unless we include that library, the IOStream library. There's also information about the namespace command and other things in our glossary, so please take a look at that. Okay, we're here at our main function. Every every console application we write in this class will have a main function. This is where the program begins to run from this, and it follows all the commands that are found in between the opening curly brace and the closing curly brace. All the commands go here in between those. As I said earlier, it starts with the letters INT, that stands for integer or whole number. That means that the main function always returns an integer. So when the main function is done running, it returns either a 0 or a 1. And that basically is telling the computer whether or not the program function was successfully completed or not. And so it returns an integer. And we'll talk more about that later. Alright, so now we're inside the curly braces. We're going to write our very first command. The first command is the cout command. This is the computer output command through standard output, and it basically means that we're going to output some text to the monitor, the computer monitor. After we place the cout command, we put 2 less than symbols, and after that, then in quotation marks, we put the actual message that we want to have displayed on the screen. I'm going to type in Hello World. That's why we call this the Hello World program. I have to end that statement also in quotation marks. You see, as soon as I do that, the little squiggly line in red goes away because now it's a complete statement. And then I go ahead and place one more thing, which is a semicolon. And that semicolon again is placed at the end of most command lines in our C++ program, and we need to have it there. Alright, I now have a complete command line in my first program called Hello World. This program actually can be run at this point. So how do we run a program? First of all, we need to save it. I see the asterisk up here in the file name means that it has not been saved recently, so let's go to File, Save All. The asterisk now goes away. The files are all saved. Now I need to do the next step, which is to build the solution. In the debug menu here, second option down is build solution. To build a program means to compile it, get it ready to be run in the computer's machine language that it understands. So I'm going to build the solution now, and when I do that, in this output window down below I should see some messages, and hopefully if everything is correct I will see that the build succeeded, which is very important. If you have any errors in your code, it'll say that it failed. Right, so it succeeds, and then the next step is to actually go and debug it, start debugging it, which is actually means to run the program. Now, it happened really quick, you probably didn't see it, but a little black window opened up, a console window, and then it flashed and then went away. Our program actually ran successfully. We're going to, in our next step in this video lesson series, we're going to talk about how we can get that window to stay open a little longer and actually see the words Hello World displayed on the screen. We'll come back to that next.